Good evening, my fellow Gregtech enthusiasts. You're about to enter a world of magic, so befuddling you can't do the ordo instrumentum matter, of technology that even the best minds of the avian variety can't comprehend, of automation that would make an architect of the chosen variety shake his head at. Welcome to the Polyethylene Project.
Welcome back, lovely burger enjoyers. Today begins year 2 of Gregtech New Horizons, one of the hardest mod packs out there, with insane tech lines, brutally hard mechanics, and challenges that make any seasoned Minecraft player rage quit. It's a really popular mod pack with something like a cult following, and I'm part of the cult now, I guess. My goal is the Stargate, and this series will document my struggles to reach it, broken up into in-game years. The goal for this year, the Moon. Can I make it? Watch and find out. I don't even know if I make it. I'm recording and editing this section way ahead of time. I am Bedrock Burger, your local Chuck Norris enthusiast. Rest in peace to a legend. This is the beginning to year 2 of my Gregtech New Horizons series. If you missed out on year 1, make sure to watch that video before watching this one. You'll miss important things like several 9/11 jokes, me being a doofus, and of course you giving me that sweet ad revenue. Additionally, year 2 will be a series of videos for the days until it finishes, wherein I will re-edit all the videos into one mega video and cut out the intros and outros of said video parts, like this section here. Each video will cover a specific project, with this one being polyethylene. I have a plan for each episode and they'll each premiere once per month for now, with additional videos in between where I make tutorials on what I did. To wrap up the promotion, do the subscribing and the liking that every YouTuber wants you to do. Also be sure to check out my streams. I stream Minecraft pretty regularly and sometimes other games. Hope to see you there. Now that you've followed my orders blindly, let's resume this adventure of tech and magic with day 0. It didn't crash this time. Nice. Returning to my world with fresh eyes was an interesting experience. I realized that a lot of the things I had set up weren't quite right, and I was missing out on even more. For starters, super tanks. Did I know they existed? Haha, no, not at all. The meat inside my head is smooth and thoughts flow right off of it. The very first thing I did on day 0 was a simple task: get ender pearls. In this pack, there's a couple of ways: bees, killing endermen straight up, and another method that the quest book in Gregtech basically just hands you: sticking them into a smeltery and letting them burn, making their blood into pearls using a pan cast. There's another way I could have phrased that, but I don't want to be cancelled. With 10 survivor coins, you can buy 2 enderman spawn eggs, which are perfect for melting down into blood, assuming they don't escape. Ender pearls obtained for a component of the super tank, the pulsating iron ingots made from ender pearl dust, iron dust, and redstone alloy dust. It would be a bit before I actually get the super tank though, as I completely forgot they existed for a time. I made a few pulsating iron ingots and then just deadass forgot. My brand spanking new EBF was riding the struggle bus a bit when trying to smelt up the pulsating iron, as my pipes were not good enough to transfer steam all the way from my oversized, soon-to-be shrunk steam backup tank. The potent pipes I was using only moved 6,000 steam per second, and the EBF consumed 6208 steam per second according to my probably incorrect math. In my eyes, I needed better pipes to move steam around faster, without just making bigger potent pipes, which frankly I probably could have done. Enter polyethylene. Plastic! Before you comment, yes, I know steam can't be in plastic fluid pipes. I didn't know at the time and just learned very recently when I checked the max temperature of plastic fluid pipes. Steam is 375 K for temperature, yet plastic fluid pipes can only handle up to 350 K temperature, whatever their temperature method is. However, the goal of moving steam wasn't my only reason to make polyethylene. I absolutely despise making wrought iron, which was needed for machine holes in LV and MV. Saw iron ingots into nuggets, smelt the nuggets into wrought iron nuggets, then take absolutely forever to compress the nuggets into ingots. Painful. I hate it. Polyethylene just replaces the need for wrought iron if I use the assembler to make the holes instead of handcrafting them. Much better. I had a general idea of how to make polyethylene, take a shot every time I say that word in this video, so I got to work. This whole setup could run off of 4 LV amps of power, but I'd want better cables. Enter redstone alloy. Not red alloy, redstone alloy. There's a difference. This one is made by mixing silicon dust, redstone dust, and coal dust in a mixer. This new dust is then smelted in the EBF to make the ingots, 1 ingot at a time, as the current setup couldn't really handle more than processing 4 ingots back to back. This redstone alloy was needed for new cables, as these ones were lossless, so there was no power loss over distance. Pretty useful, actually. I finished these cables on day 3, then placed 2 of them underneath my EBF in between my steam turbines. I used 2X cables here, as each EBF energy hatch needed 2 amps of power, so 2 machines per hatch. The remainder of the cables would be used in my polyethylene setup to make the lovely gooey goodness. I needed 5 machines minimum to do this material line, 2 distilleries and 3 chemical reactors, severely regretting my lack of batch crafting circuits at this point. I did finish the machines with a lot of struggle, as is common with someone's first Gregtech run. I was really starting to run out of materials. I set all the machines up and hooked them up to some extra steam turbines I had laying around. Mistakenly, I used 2X cables for more than 2 generators and almost lost my machines here. Oops. Not the first easy to avoid mistake that happens in year 2. And also mistakenly, I thought that I needed canning machines to fill cells. Hindsight 2020, these machines are totally useless and I could have done this with ULV tanks. Anyways, how does one actually make polyethylene? Well, it starts with the American dream, oil. I found an oil spout a decent ways away from home and set up a railcraft tank above it, as it was time to drill for oil. As an American myself, I must do my patriotic duty and drill, baby, drill. On day 11, I made a basic oil pump. It does what it says on the tin, pumps oil. Shocker, I know. I grabbed a combustion generator, a few mining pipes, and brought them both to the oil spout. The combustion generator was to power the drill using cells of creosote. It's not a very good power source, but it is enough to run a pump for a while. Also, before you say batteries in the comments, I didn't really understand how good batteries were at this point in recording. I use batteries a lot later though. While it pumps, I got distracted, as is very common with my smooth brain. I made a golden lasso, which could grab mobs and move them around. I then went exploring for a pretty good reason. I needed to do bees at some point, so I wanted to begin a bee setup. The villager I needed was a beekeeper who sold a monastic bee, needed to breed up some important bee lines. I could also wait for the quest to open up to buy them, but that's a bit into bees. But instead of getting a monastic bee trade, one of the first villagers I got was an apiary trade, which is also insanely good. Saves a lot of time and materials. Essentially, I searched for diamonds and found gold. But that's all for bees for now. See you later. Back to plastic. I used signs to label all the machines and went slightly crazy figuring it all out. I did have guidance from my friend Enigma, legit sitting on a chair behind me IRL as I worked on it, so here's the Enigma himself to explain what I did. Take it away, chum!
Hello, Dr. Enigma here. Let's discuss polyethylene automation. There are multiple approaches to get plastic, but all have crude oil as the basic input. Oil is broken down with either steam or hydrogen, and the resulting cracked oil is distilled into one of 4 outputs. You can then repeat this process on one of the resulting fractions to get ethylene. Most players choose refinery gas as the most efficient option, but this go-around our burger friend chose naphtha. Silly burger. To start, we have a distillery where oil goes in on circuit 3. The oil gets turned into sulfuric naphtha. Using auto output on the side, the sulfuric naphtha goes into a chemical reactor to desulfurize with hydrogen. On circuit 4, it takes the hydrogen cells and pulls the sulfur from the sulfuric naphtha to create a cell of hydrogen sulfide, as well as desulfurized naphtha. The hydrogen sulfide is summarily sent to Brazil. I wonder if our friend knows just how useful this byproduct will be in HV. The naphtha then goes to the next chemical reactor, where steam cells in the naphtha on circuit 3 make severely steam-cracked naphtha. With this severely steam-cracked naphtha, we're almost done. This steam-cracked naphtha is then distilled on circuit 10 into ethylene and ashes. To round it all out and turn our ethylene into useful plastic, the final chemical reactor uses oxygen cells and ethylene on circuit 1 to polymerize the chemical into molten polyethylene. The result is pumped into a tank for storage, and we're set. I'm certain this innovation will have no lasting environmental consequences. With the mighty distillation tower and high voltage tier, you can actually get all of the distillation products from each step instead of selecting just one. A full-blown distillation setup this way can have dozens of multi-blocks, each making up to 12 unique outputs, ranging from heavy fuel to helium. Our bold sandwich has a long way to go for that, however. Once again, this has been Dr. Enigma. Make sure to never forget to set your machines to auto-output, and never mix voltages. Now, back to Bedrock Burger.
Thanks, Doc. Good explanation of the process. See you later on. My current iteration of this project, once I finish it up, was a bit of a mess, as is common with people's first Gregtech runs, with pipes and machines everywhere, but I'd redo it eventually to remove the useless fluid cannons and cut down on the pipe spaghetti. With this line all finished, I decided to explore a little bit more to maybe find a monastic bee trade from a villager. Roll the montage. When I return home after cleaning my head with some fresh, delicious Minecraft air, I threw some oil into the first distillery in the line, and it worked perfectly, almost, making some of that sweet plastic on day 33. It did have an issue with power, and I probably needed to put some batteries in, but I forgot. Over the course of the rest of this in-game year, I'd keep making more polyethylene, but I don't really need to mention it every time I do, yeah? Just know that if I make an LV or MV machine hull from here on out, polyethylene was used to make the hull. I'd make the pipes eventually. Polyethylene all finished, I then turned towards the next issue to tackle. Power! My EBF was absolutely suffering when I tried to cook anything in it, and it needed a proper power source. Steam was no longer cutting it. Either I could up my steam production massively, where I'd probably have to replace it anyways come MV and HV, or I could find a new power source. Enter benzene. But that'll have to wait for next episode, as the project for this episode is complete. Plastic successfully automated. Not yet making the pipes, as I need to get an MV fluid solidifier, but it helps massively with removing raw iron from the face of this earth. In the next episode, MV time and a new fuel, benzene. Stay tuned for more. Thank you all for coming and watching. Bedrock Burger, out.